Hi, my name is Miguel Llora, and I'm going to be speaking about Olympic tourism, English in the Beijing 2022 Winter Games. My goals and beliefs as an English language teacher have been continually refined through my interactions with diverse groups of students from around the world. The range of challenges posed by their different needs drive my search for new pedagogical methods. For example, on my first working visit to China in 2006 and 7, I taught Han Chinese students in Hebei and Tibetan students in Yunnan. I used activities like games, songs, and dance to introduce rudimentary English. In Cuenca, in the Ecuadorian Andes, I taught students who had suffered bad experiences learning English from teachers who had used a grammar-based approach. With these students, I had success using an interactive, conversational, and communicative approach. In Mexico, where I taught English to college students from the Otomi region of Santiago de Querétaro and the Aztec region in Hidalgo, I used communicative approach with my students and started after-class conversation circles to provide them opportunities to practice speaking. In China in 2017 to 2019, my students were driven to do well in the college entrance exam, which tests English grammar and conversational skills. I had to rapidly assess my students' level of proficiency, prepare and deliver appropriate lessons. With the 2022 Winter Olympics being held in and around Beijing, China, there is a need to improve the English proficiency of volunteers. Volunteers need to be able to provide guidance regarding where the events are held and give directions, and answer tourism questions relating to Beijing. Volunteers will assess the communicative intent and respond accordingly. These tasks will be to answer questions relating to venues, give directions, and answer basic tourism questions. This specificity of purpose transcends general English instruction, and this project will attempt to address the specific needs of the learners. This goal-oriented approach situates my capstone project as Olympic tourism. In this scenario, volunteers will need to be taught the language they will use in this specific context or purpose. The Beijing 2022 Olympics. Using existing literature on English for Specific Purposes, ESP, task-based language teaching, TBLT, and use ESP and TBLT to inform the curriculum design, CD. ESP is needs-based and task-oriented. The implications of this project are enormous. It lends itself to a template for the future summer and winter games, or extended as a base for the future deployment at Olympic sites that are converted into state-of-the-art training facilities and recreation venues all over the world. The main features of ESP is that it is both an approach and learner-centered. Hutchinson and Waters argue that ESP is a response to general English as it had to adjust to the needs of the students, reflecting the workforce needs and be based on learners' reasons for learning. ESP was considered as a type of English language training, or ELT, which is considered goal-oriented language teaching. In this case, the English language has to assist pupils to achieve a satisfactory level in their individual and professional areas of concern, work, or study. In ESP, Harding 2007 argues that the purpose of learning is paramount and related directly to what the learner needs to do their vocation or job. In our case, English for tourism and hospitality purposes, ETP, is focused on listening, speaking, as well as some reading and writing. ETP falls under the rubric of ESP, and because it is the focus of this curriculum design, or CD, so its concrete and real-world applications need to be carefully looked at and comprehensively examined. Task-based learning is a TESOL approach that has roots in the communicative language training method, where the teaching process is done entirely through communicative tasks. In order to fully acquire language, it must have real meaning by being used in a natural context. It is in this area where ESP and PBLT intersect and complement each other. With task-based learning, teachers ask students to complete purposeful tasks that elicit and use the target language. Willis, 1996, writes, in other words, the emphasis is on understanding and conveying meaning in order to complete the task successfully. While learners are doing tasks, they are using language in a meaningful way. According to Long, 1996, negotiation of meaning and especially negotiation work that triggers interactional adjustments. A competent interlocutor facilitates acquisition because it connects input, internal learner capacities, particular selective attention, and output in a productive way. Noonan, 2004, argues that the target tasks refer to do something outside the classroom and in the real world. According to Rod Ellis, a task has four main characteristics. A task involves a primary focus on pragmatic meaning. A task has some kind of gap. Prabhu identified the three main types as information gap, reasoning gap, and opinion gap. The participants choose the linguistic resources needed to complete the task. A task has clearly defined non-linguistic outcome. Richards extended the curriculum design to include needs analysis, a situation analysis, a planning of goals and learning outcomes, a close examination of course planning and syllabus design, selecting and preparing teaching material, providing for effective teaching and evaluation. A CD is a process. The process is not linear. Several interactions from each section of the process serves to inform the other. These iterations, perhaps using Richard's suggestion of formative evaluation, strengthens and corrects the process and eventually the product. Richards, 2017, discusses both ESP and PBLT in his process. An institutional analysis is crucial to find out what lies behind the stated language learning needs. According to Richards, let us consider these two parallel sources of influence, internal and external, on curriculum approaches and practice. Moreover, over and above taking into account the changes in the field, which is internal, according to Richards, writ large, what we are looking for is wants, desires, demands, expectations, motivations, lacks, constraints, and requirements. We need to balance the needs of the field versus the needs of the institution. A situation analysis is done in order to appreciate the uniqueness of a language teaching location. First, a private English language training provider has formally partnered with the Beijing Organization Committee for Olympic Games, or the BOCOG, to provide the planners as well as the volunteers with English language classes. However, the English language training provided is based on a textbook designed for general purposes. Based on this scenario, I would like to present either to the English language provider or the BOCOG directly a narrower and more systematic plan to train volunteers to provide Olympic tourism English. The aim, therefore, of this curriculum design is to equip the volunteers to succeed at accommodating their foreign clients. Second, Dudley Evans 2001 insisted on three variables. One, ESP has to be connected to a particular discipline. Two, it needs to use a dissimilar method from general English. And three, it should target intermediate to advanced adult learners. To assess the English language levels of an incoming teacher, the Cambridge General English Test on their website will do. ESP requires, at the minimum, low intermediate and above. It is therefore highly recommended that learners at the B1 minimum take this course. Since its inception in the post-World War II late 1940s up to today, the definition of ESP has changed over historic time, with the mainstays being a strong needs analysis. It is different from general English. It improves intermediate to advanced learners, and it is task-based. In the 1960s, ESP teachers used general English practices but added a focus on specialized lexicon or vocabulary. The end of the 1960s, notwithstanding, saw the rise of the importance of discourse analysis. In the 1970s, attention shifted to the skills students needed to be successful in their jobs, prompting the development of a needs assessment. In the 1980s, learner-centered approach drove the material production to meet this new and growing movement. In the 1990s through 2000s, saw a plethora of ESP research and theorizing. At the core of this examination is that ESP's mandate is to address a targeted need of a specific group of learners. TBLT was re-examined for its advantages and disadvantages. TBLT enthusiasts need to address the issue of student assessment both for themselves as teachers and for their students' sense of achievement. There are two needs I want to address here, objective and subjective student needs. Adding vocabulary and discourse analysis to B1 level students is a logical progression. The objective need is to learn the language required to be understood. ESP is both work-related and communicative. ESP's primary objective is to fulfill the needs of the target audience to meet their work needs. English to help learners succeed in their job. A job requires them to use English as their L2. In ESP, English is only a tool used to prepare the learner to succeed in their chosen profession or occupation. We need to we need a listening and speaking module to learn to better listen and be understood. Moreover, we need a writing module as volunteers need to provide a written instruction to the visitors in English and Mandarin Chinese. Subjective needs of the students includes the Beijing government is interested in developing customer service. Customer satisfaction is valued. English provides both the learner and the user with symbolic, cultural, and economic capital. Non-native English speakers wanted in an imagined community of English speakers worldwide. Learners reflected on their personal business and information sharing requirements. Service and success in this case is a nationalistic mission. The needs analysis is informed by previous curriculum work done in 2006 and 2007 for the 2008 Beijing Summer Games. In the BOCOG's case, the needs of the learners English to assist visitors who will be coming to China, will be coming for the 2022 Winter Games. Notwithstanding, the issue is a lack of real-world communication practice, of which this curriculum aims to ameliorate. Thus, for the volunteer, it is customer satisfaction. Thus, the role of the curriculum designer is to uncover as many of the overt as well as covert needs to ensure a successful delivery of the new curriculum. Richards 2017 writes, needs analysis can be small in scale, such as when a teacher needs to find out as much as possible about the needs of learners in his or her class. It can also have a much larger scope, such as when an institute or language training organization is contracted to develop a course for a specific group of learners. This CD will take both levels into account. For students who are familiar with the passive style, the change to a more student-centered approach could pose a problem. According to Douglas and Kim, 2014, active learning is an investment, both on the teacher side, but also on the student side. The conventional PPP model, as we see with Park and Tang, Park 2002 and Tang 2004, is outdated. According to Douglas and Kim 2014, a task has a primary focus on meaning, a gap, which motivates the need to exchange information or give an opinion, and a clearly defined outcome other than the use of language that is reached by the students using their own resources. In addition, the benefits of PBLT in EAP for the open-ended question asking participants to share the possible benefits of employing PBLT activities in their teaching current context. The most important benefits of PBLT were its practicality, effectiveness, and learner-centeredness. With students not using or not used to this form of pedagogy, however, they either did not understand it or felt they were not learning. How did they get a grade? How did teachers assess learning? When it comes to trying PBLT in a Chinese context, it might not seem like work, and they might reject it. First, one of China's strengths is that English language instruction is considered a national priority and thus on the rise. The Chinese writ large have come to realize the importance and hegemony of learning English and the kind of capital it gives speakers. Second, one of China's identified weaknesses is that English is still taught rote memorization of grammar rules. Douglas and Kim 2014 revealed that resistance to PBLT was attributed to this cultural reason. Cultural background may pose a challenge. Some students are not very fond of learner-centered tasks and may be expecting the instructor to do all the teaching. Third, an area of opportunity in those who are in the intermediate level can easily acquire material that they need to learn. It is not just vocabulary, there are pragmatic conventions as well. In ESP, as in PBLT, English is only a tool used to prepare the learner to succeed in their chosen profession or occupation. Finally, one of the recognized threats is the perception of cultural incursion. The cultural perception that projects are not seen as learning, thus no institutional buy-in. I just wanted to present this slide to show the audience that I wish to rebrand myself as the intersection of language and culture. Finally, looking back at my experience, the communicative approach has somehow managed to downplay the importance of grammar. My experiences in China have shown me that the demand for grammar training is on the upswing. A solid foundation of grammar for ESL and EFL contexts is therefore necessary. My teaching in Latin America taught me that teachers cannot get enough lesson planning, material design, assessment, and pragmatics training. All of these approaches are not possible without a rigorous examination of theoretical approaches and practical procedures. Therefore, I did deep research in order to inform my work on the ground. Upon the completion of this MA, I want to return to teaching English full time. I take this responsibility very seriously. This time, better prepared, I wish to consider returning to the Peace Corps or join the ELF program. Or if I stay stateside, I'm considering teaching at the community college level, K-12 private school, or language institute before I go abroad again. I like moving around because each step is yet another building block in an ever-growing collection of new ways to service the English language requirements of my students. Thank you very much for taking the time to view my presentation. If you have any questions, my name is Miguel Llora, and my email address is mliora@mail.sfsu.edu. Let's proceed now to the Q&A section where if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. Thank you.